everybody. Welcome to this decision session for Children, Young People and Education portfolio. My name is Councillor Webb. I am the decision maker in this case, Exec Member for Children, Young People and Education. Around the room you'll see we've got different council officers. Please introduce yourselves and your titles and your job role when you speak if you could. The first item on the agenda is declarations of interest. I don't have any to declare. The second item on the agenda is the minutes of the meeting that took place on the 6th of February 2024. Having read the minutes of this meeting.
Sorry, I'm not looking at it, it's the 5th of March.
Oh, is it 5th of March? Sorry, I was reading off the wrong bit of paper. The minutes of the 5th of March 2024, having read these ones as well, I'm perfectly happy for that to be recorded as true and accurate record, so I shall sign those now. Thank you, Reese. Third item on the agenda for this meeting is for public participation. We have one public participant, Councillor Waller. Councillor Waller, if you want to find yourself a seat, sit wherever you find a seat, closer to the hour would be better. And to be honest, I'm happy for you to stay for the remainder. You don't have to wander off afterwards. Right. So, in your own time, Councillor Waller, you have 3 minutes if you should need it.
Thank you very much, Executive Member. I'm struggling to recall in the last 3 decades a similarly timed meeting tucked in front of the annual council meeting, but things always do change. The Lowfield Green development, which is still a long way from being completed, has created some opportunities to give something back to the local community. And I would have hoped that the capital for early years places could have been allocated more locally than Poppleton, which is some distance from the area, and might have supported a walkable provision. There needs to be a careful review of transport around the Grange Lane area if more cars are being encouraged to go there in the morning, because there's already considerable difficulty at dropping off and picking up times, which make life difficult for residents, for children and parents walking, cycling and scooting to the area. I'd be happy to meet up with officers and members to illustrate the current problems which I wouldn't wish to see compounded. So I'd urge a rethink on this proposal and reconsultation with providers who could meet the needs of young learners from the Lowfield Green development without increasing traffic problems in narrow roads. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Waller. Yes, no, it is rare, I understand, to do anything else on annual council day apart from annual council, but we're all incredibly busy as exec members, doing as much as we can in a short space of time as we can, so I will fit things in when I can, to be honest. On your other point about this decision and travel plans, I think that's certainly something that has been considered. If I'm honest, this was considered during your administration, Councillor Waller, and another part of the reason that this meeting was fitted in quite late into the calendar was because there was a discussion about whether a new decision needed to be made following the decision of, I think it was Councillor Cuthbertson, yes, was it, when he was exec member prior to yourself? So yeah, I think I accept your points that there is certainly something to look at ongoing in every site. But in reality, this is a decision that I'm merely finishing off from the previous administration's decision. So potentially those concerns should have been raised with your own administration at the time. Anyway, thank you for coming to speak. It's nice to have a public participant speak at these things. So now we move on to item 4, which is the decision report for the early years capital grant tender for Lowfield Green. And Barbara, I wonder if you wouldn't mind speaking to that.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you. So I'm Barbara Manns, Head of Education Support. The purpose of the report is to ask the executive member to approve the awarding of the tender and capital of 104,000 to create 60 new early years places at Lowfield Green. The background is that the service secured £104,000 worth of contributions because there was a sustainable housing development at Lowfield Green taking place, and we were able to forecast that there would be an increase in parental demand for early years places arising from the development. And we sought approval from the executive member back in 2021 to set up a panel to oversee the commissioning, and it was agreed that once that tender process was complete, a further report on the panel's recommendations will be brought back for further formal approval. The tender itself was carried out in autumn 22 and was open to all providers, and it took that length of time because we were waiting for the face of the houses to be built so it would generate enough children to make it a viable provision. Places had to be created within a 1 mile radius of the development, and at all times we used advice and guidance from procurement, and we scored the tenders based on quality and price valuations. We had 2 incomplete bids at that time, and the 2 were invited to resubmit, which only 1 did. And the one that we received was for the development of a forest school on the site of the applicant's Poppleton nursery. And a minibus would transport children from the Acomb site to Poppleton, and that would release 16 extra places within the nursery. But what it also meant is that children could be taken from Acomb to Poppleton to visit the forest school. So the forest school would have 10 tippy tents, and that would support all year round learning. And the applicant wants to encourage wider community use of that provision and for it to be available for wider staff training. So planning permission, it was sought by the applicant, and it was only recently agreed. It's been quite lengthy to go through that process. But it's now been agreed, and there are 2 options for the executive member. The first is to award the grant of 104,000 to the applicant, so that the local parents have access to good quality early years and childcare provision, including that forest school provision as well. Secondly, the second option, to go back out to tender with the risk of a lack of places in the area. The local authority scoring was robust and all key areas are looked at. So recommendation is the first option, to approve the tender and award the £104,000 capital to the provider.
Thank you, Barbara. Martin, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing at all.
Thank you. And thank you, Barbara, for all of your work on this one. As you've just outlined, it's been a long process, but certainly a positive thing, and I'm glad that we've finally managed to get that over the line. 104,000 at this stage in the development is really positive. As I hope Councillor Waller read prior to the meeting was heard again, there was only 1 tender that was successful and complete, and this is to serve children in the local community. And actually, I think the idea of a forest school is a really positive thing. So in deciding, I would like to go with option A, and I'll just read that out again for clarity. So that is to award the grant to the applicants so that local parents have access to good quality early years and childcare, including forest school provision. So that is my decision. Thank you. And item 5 on the agenda is urgent business. I've not been notified of any urgent business. So at that point, I will close the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.